Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Whatever part of the world you're currently listening to our podcast and eventually video blog. As many of you know, I basically swap things around. I talk about in length about certain themes and subjects while I have the time to have a lengthy discussion via video blog and then convert that into a short hypnosis on my podcast. So if you guys have been following us, I tend to expand onto some of the subjects and issues that I tend to reflect on my podcast. I shorten the version of it and then expand on my video blog. So anyway, I thought I go ahead and give you a quick synopsis of my new um, podcast subject, which is not justice for all. Okay, and what that means is basically justice is afforded by those that has power, those that has influence, and those that have the means to deploy justice. Meaning that if someone that has power, authority, okay, in a country, they can cherry pick basically who it is that they want to afford justice to. Hence, creating a very lump-sided social justice structure. Okay. And that's why many of those that have been marginalized in a society and those that have been discriminated against tend to keep on being victimized because the justice in many of these powerful societies do not really consider those that are voiceless, powerless, and outnumbered in a society, hence the marginalization of a community. Okay, folks. And because of that, it tends to keep on happening because there is no protection from the authority of the powerful, the predominantly uh, the majority of the population. And sometimes it's not even just the majority; it's also the minority that tends to have more minority uh, members compared to the marginalized. So why am I talking about this? Because I've seen it around the world. Social decay and the overall marginalization of those powerless, voiceless, and underrepresented and outnumbered tends to be well preserved. Okay. Nothing new. It's not, unique to third world countries. It's also happening in modern and wealthy societies. Okay. The reason for that is because most of the people that are in power are the ones that are actually marginalizing and discriminating against those that are powerful, powerless, voiceless, and outnumbered. And that's just the real, issue. And very few people want to talk about it. Uh, and when people do talk about it, they get silenced, stonewalled, or marginalized themselves. Okay, folks. And guess what? I am one of those people that spoke about it and had, the American public reflect on what it is that took place in my own personal experience and professional experience in America. Okay, folks, the reason that I wanted to keep on talking about it, not just for my benefit, is also to benefit those that are marginalized and outnumbered and voiceless, but it also benefits America as a society because we tend to, you know, look into certain issues. But, it's not something that we pay too much attention to, unfortunately. And so it keeps on happening. It's a never ending struggle, folks. Forget about, you know, discrimination of just one, group. It's actually the discrimination and marginalization of those that are not even seen as a member of this society. It's not even seen as a citizen of America, and it's not even seen and considered as a contributing citizen of this country. Okay, folks. Uh, Hence, we keep on having to deal with all these social problems, okay, among people groups in our country, among professionals, among those that tend to, you know, just not even um, push back anymore because they've gotten so used to it. The marginalized population have gotten so used to being marginalized, being discriminated against, and they're not even wanting to push back anymore. They're not even wanting to speak up. So somebody's got to speak up. Somebody's got to point this out. And guess what? I didn't volunteer. I was basically put in this place by the powerful elites of this country. And now I'm talking about it. Hopefully, like I said in my video blog, hopefully something like this will cease to happen, and people would be considerate of other people. But until then, I'm gonna keep on talking about it because no one else is. Not from the marginalized and often targeted minority groups that is often discriminated again in America, and most Americans brush it off. They don't care about it. It's like, okay, whatever. They don't really know what it's like having to be discriminated against and marginalized in a country that was basically created to uh, marginalize and oppress those that are powerless, voiceless, and outnumbered. That's just the reality in America. Okay. So if you're weak and if you're outnumbered in America, guess what? It becomes more of a norm, okay, in which people would marginalize and oppress you and discriminate against you because they know you're powerless, voiceless, and outnumbered. There is no reason for them to respect you because to them, you're irrelevant because you're outnumbered. You're basically marginalized because of because you don't have a voice in the society, you don't have power in the society, you're outnumbered in the society. So nothing different from any other countries on planet Earth, okay? But the problem is America is supposed to be a wealthy, more civilized and educated country, but yet it's much more prevalent in our society compared to a third or a second world country. Poorer countries don't operate the same way that we do, for the most part, because they have their own struggles. They're having to deal with their own issues as a whole, as a general population. So they don't really get to pick and choose who it is that they oppress and marginalize. Although it does happen in some societies, but it's very baffling to me for this to continue on in the year 2026 in American society. And yet no one's talking about it. It's still one of those problem that keeps on popping up, and it's been a problem in the last 250 years in our country, and we're going to be celebrating 250 years of American independence from the crown. Yet we're still dealing with the same problems, except different people groups that are having to be marginalized, oppressed, and discriminated against, and basically kept to the bottom of the food chain in our society because no one's speaking up, no one's pushing back, no one's taking a stand. With that said, folks, thank you so much for listening to my podcast, Faceconomics podcast. I have discussed this in length also in my book, Faceconomics People Power. Check them out. They're available on Amazon, and go to our YouTube TV Faceconomics YouTube TV channel. I spoke about this in length, and please subscribe and share our YouTube channel as well as our podcast with your family and friends. I tend to talk about things that very few people want to talk about. The reason being is because most people have kind of gotten stuck and stupid. They live their lives, they pursue comfort day in day out, so they could care less about other people. But guess what, folks? Somebody has to talk about these issues. If you truly want to improve society, if you truly want to make America great, then talk about these issues, expose those that are evil, those are nefarious, those that are corrupt, those bad apples in our society that tend to feed on the people that they see irrelevant, outnumbered, and basically voiceless. So they marginalize them because they have no respect for them, and because that's how we created our society. We become a very toxic society, not just in politics, but as a society in general. We have gotten very toxic in America, and you know what? Same old crap, just different group of people having to deal with it, or maybe not. Who knows? But somebody's got to talk about this until something's been done. Okay, I have shared my case with the White House. Until to this day, I've yet to get a response from the White House. I've shared my case with the Department of Justice. So to this day, I've yet to hear back from the Department of Justice. Yeah, guess what, folks? I'm pretty sure I'm not the only one that's been marginalized in this country and society, but I'm the one that's basically talking the most about it because no one else would. With this said, thank you so much for your time. My name is Al Mina, Faceconomics author, which is the utilization of the social media platform in economic development worldwide. Until we meet again, enjoy your weekend. Take care. Bye bye.